All right, we're live. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Chopping It Up. Moff and I are back. He's all moved into the new crib. We're in episode 13. Got a bunch of stuff queued up because it's been a couple weeks because he was moving last week. So how's the new place, Moff?
Yeah, still settling in. Good. It's a bigger place, much more room, much more space. Yeah, we've got, instead of the studio, which was like my kitchen, and I had to, put all these padding around and get rid of the echoing. Right now, I'm still in the living room area before I'm set up the studio. So that should be back either by next week or the following. But yeah, finally getting settled in. Got displaced by 2 hurricanes. And yeah, we're finally getting back to some normalcy down here. But that's Florida for you.
Nice. Is everything cleaned up?
For the most part, yeah. For the most part, I mean, if you drive down the highway, you can see debris piles stacked like 60 or 70 feet high. I mean, just crazy stuff. I mean, brush stuff in people's houses. So, I mean, it wrecked some people's stuff for sure, and they're just sitting out there. So, but power's all back. The season is pretty much over at this point, and now we're getting into Florida winter, which is anything below 65 degrees Fahrenheit. So starting to get into that time of year. But yeah, everything's getting back to where it should be.
Very good, sir. Well, let's get into the queued up stuff. Some of these items that have sort of piled up. I guess the first thing we'll deal with is Peanut the Squirrel, which is kind of interesting, but it takes a modern twist, which we'll see in a second. Let me just throw this up on the screen. So if you guys haven't heard, apparently there's this squirrel that was euthanized in New York. The guy rescued it, with his chick. I'll just pause this for a second. We'll play it in a minute. He rescued it with his chick, and the city came in and they, here, I'll play the video. There's a small interview here. You guys.
We just learned that they have euthanized Peanut.
And the raccoon as well.
And the raccoon as well. I am so sorry. This must be really difficult for you.
It not only tears my family apart, but Peanut was the cornerstone of our nonprofit animal rescue. And 10 to 12 DEC officers raided my house as if I was a drug dealer. I was sat outside my house for 5 hours. I had to get a police escort to my bathroom. I wasn't even allowed to feed my rescue horses breakfast or lunch. I was sat there like a criminal. After they interrogated my wife to check out her immigration status, then proceeded to ask me if I had cameras in my house, then proceeded to go through every cabinet, nook, and cranny of my house for a squirrel and a raccoon.
They got a search warrant?
They got a search warrant. 4 departments and a judge signed off on a search warrant for a squirrel and a raccoon. And then they took them and killed them.
Why did they go through all that to get a search warrant for an animal that had been with you very safely, and the world witnessed this for 7 years? Why now suddenly did they
I didn't know squirrels live for 7 years. That's quite a long time.
show up with a search warrant and take these animals?
We haven't a clue. We don't know who made the complaints. Again, Peanut was an indoor squirrel, not harming
Oh, they found out who made the complaint, by the way. It was a chick, total Karen-looking girl.
anybody. He's been with us for 7 years. Not a single complaint was ever filed for this animal. We had him for 7.5 years. He became the world's most famous squirrel. We weren't hiding him by any means. He was all over TikTok. He became the first squirrel on TikTok to ever hit 1 million followers. He did every news station around the world. He's helped people. He's helped kids gather joy. And then we started a nonprofit animal rescue called Peanut's Freedom Farm to help animals like Peanut fight a good fight when they're in a neglected case or they're sitting in a slaughter auction. And he was the cornerstone of our life and our organization. We used his platform to help raise money for the 300 animals we have at our sanctuary.
All right. Well, there's a bit on the squirrel. There's another one over here. I guess this is the raccoon.
If I would have known.
Oh, we got music. That'll be an issue for copyright. But anyway, we can pull that out and we'll come back to the next one. But the twist, the modern twist, is purportedly they were using the Purportedly they were using the squirrel for OnlyFans content. And yes, apparently the kind of OnlyFans content that you're thinking about that you would use a squirrel named Peanut for. You saw his girlfriend there with the knuckle tattoos and the sleeve tats and all that. That's I don't know. I guess we'll find out in the next couple of days, Moff.
Jeez.
I still don't think that they should have taken the squirrel and euthanized him over this, but whatever. This is what happens. Somebody I don't know. There was an actor that made the point today that you can walk across the border in the States, kill somebody, get housing, not be prosecuted, but if you're a squirrel, no joy. Sorry, it's not happening.
I think that's the whole point. That's what's got people up in arms. A lot of people might say, "Oh, it's a squirrel." First of all, like this, for all intents and purposes, was a pet. I mean, think about it as your dog or your cat. It's a part of your family, and these people barged out. As long as everything this guy's saying is true, and he would have no real reason to lie, I guess. But I think if anybody's confused on why this has become such an issue, especially right before the election, it's like this is the world that we live in currently. And this is the world that if you are a Harris voter that you are voting for and you're going to support, there are people, there's a guy there was an illegal out on Long Island who was convicted, or he was arrested for raping, and I don't know if raping a 5-year-old girl in Long Island, New York. Meanwhile, what the state is spending their time and effort and resources in is barging down the door and killing a dude's squirrel and raccoon. The priorities are just so ass backwards. And yeah, like it looks like this woman, I can't remember her name, but they doxed her on Twitter, and she ran a photography business. If this is her, like this is all speculative and hearsay, but she apparently, made an anonymous call from Texas. So it's not like she was a neighbor. She wasn't even in the same state or zip code. She made a call, and then she went on TikTok or some social media after and was bragging about it, that she was the one that got them shut down. And it came out that she was this old lady who was mad because they had more followers and she couldn't get more views and hits than a squirrel. And it's just, I mean, this is what people are voting for today, the last week, and tomorrow, if they're voting for the people that are, if they want Kamala Harris to stay in power. Like this is the police state that we are going to be living under. If you choose to live in those areas, look, like, I mean, move somewhere else if that's not, but if there's any reason for you to be in a place like that, I can't seem to find one.
Yeah. It's overreach. It's state government overreach, gross overreach. I think, you should be allowed to, within reason, as long as nobody's getting hurt, do essentially whatever you want within your own house, right? Like your home is your castle. But the fact that they mobilize an entire, was it department? I think he said 3 departments of the government, plus the involvement of the courts for judges and, signing off on documents to come in and confiscate a squirrel and a raccoon because of a phone call. I don't know if that's a federal thing or a state thing. Do you know what that is? Is that one or the other, or it just happens to be like that's just a unique thing that happens in New York State?
Well, it seems like it's a New York thing. I mean, also, like, New York is also the state that had those insane squatters' rights laws where somebody could just, if you went out of town for the weekend, they could just go move into your house, and then if they're there, you can't kick them out. Or if you own the house and you go away for a week vacation, they're just in your house now and you can't remove them, or else you're the one that's going to get taken to jail. So, I mean, it's New York. Like it's a place that I lived for 7 years. I'm glad I made it out. I'll never go back. I'll never be a resident of that god awful state ever again. But yeah, it's just, it seems like these Democrat run states or these blue states are always in the news for the wrong reasons.
Oh, that's brutal. Anyway, rest in peace, Peanut the squirrel.
I hope this guy calls in, by the way, really quick. Like, I want this guy to call in. Like, this guy's in the chat every single week. I hope that you'll click and call in and share why you actually think this way. I think you're off your rocker, but I hope you do call in tonight and we have a discussion about this.
Please do. Let's hear your opinion and why your solution is better. I've always invited people for years. Like, if you disagree with something, that's awesome, but come in, be a man, get on the call and tell me what your better solution is to the problem. Because I don't really think that a Kamala Harris type of government is going to make anything better. I'm not saying Donald Trump's perfect, but he's, in my opinion, a better option for presidency.
By far and large.
Than the other options.
Not even close.
By a wide margin. And he's got a good team too, with Vivek and RFK and everybody else.
Tulsi,
like
Elon.
Yeah. Yeah, like it really says a lot about character. Got another one over here. So this is a clip from a Reddit post. So this chick he wants to be in an equal partnership. So he's a millionaire and she wants to be a stay-at-home wife, but not a mom. So I'll just read this out, and you guys can, let us know what you think in the comments. But the title here, if you're just listening, it says, "My girlfriend," and he's 25. They both are, "has given up on her career after I became a millionaire. How do I tell her this won't work out?" So backstory: I met my girlfriend in community college 7 years ago. We became really close friends and started dating 2 years later. At the time, she wanted to be a nurse, which was great. She was really passionate about it and fully supportive, and I fully supported her. I ended up transferring to a 4-year university and earning my MBA. She supported me emotionally. Not really sure how that's support, because that's kind of like what a girlfriend does regardless. It's bare minimum. The entire time through school, and I'm grateful for her. Her parents ended up cutting her off financially because of her spending habits. So she ended up taking a year off to work to help her. Sorry, she ended up taking a year off to work to help her with the bills. Help her, who's her? Anyway, in the meantime, I invested all my savings, time, and energy into a startup platform with my best friend in the automotive industry. Earlier this year, we were bought out for life-changing amounts of money. We were both kept on as consultants with a high-paying salary as well. Kylie had kept her job at the jewelry store the entire time. After the buyout, she told me she was handing in her 2 weeks resignation. I offered to pay for her school and expenses. At first, she was excited to go back and earn her nursing degree. I ended up purchasing a condo for us to live in. Big step from an apartment. Close to her school over the weekend, we were talking, and she threw out the fact that she wasn't sure about wanting to go back to school, and that she could be a stay-at-home wife. We're not married. Now, keep in mind, she's saying stay-at-home wife, not mom. Those are two different things. A stay-at-home wife is a kept woman. I didn't say anything in the moment because I wasn't sure how to respond. Part of what attracted me to her in the first place was her ambition. It just doesn't sit right with me that she quit her job and her career goals after I came into money. Her shopping spending has also gone up. Well, of course it was, because as more money comes in and you become wealthier, then usually the spending goes up, especially like anybody with bad spending habits. And, I've said this before, because I used to be in the debt settlement industry for a long, long time. I dealt with all these financial instruments and solutions and all that sort of stuff. It's like, it doesn't matter if you're making $100 million a year or $100,000 a year or $40,000 a year. If you've got bad spending, it just amplifies as you make more money. She's been looking at new cars. I could be overreacting, but something just doesn't seem right. I still love her and want it to work, but I don't like this new side of her that I'm seeing. And again, I captioned this with, he wants an equal partner and she wants to be a stay-at-home wife. Are they both offside? If you look at the comments on that one, a lot of people are basically echoing what I said in the title there, right? It's like, you come into money, and then she's quitting her job. She's forgetting about her studies, and she now announced that she wants to be a stay-at-home wife. What use is a kept woman, a stay-at-home wife, off? I mean, if she's going to stay home, you should be staying home raising my children, nurturing them, homeschooling them, looking after them. What use is a stay-at-home wife? Do you have any use for a stay-at-home wife?
No, it sounds like she just wants to spend the money. It's like, what, she doesn't share her pot of gold, but your money, your money is our money and my money is my money, essentially. What she's saying here. Yeah, I mean,
and living together assumes the state of marriage, right? Like I've said this before, it's in my book, Smart Men Don't Marry. Like, if at some point common law kicks in, which it does in almost all states or provinces, you are living in a way that looks like marriage, which means that she's entitled to half his stuff after a certain period of time. Could be a year, 2 years, 4 years, whatever it is, right?
Yeah, and like, this is an example of a woman who, invested in this guy and saw a potential future, saw that he had a future. Oh, you're going to get your MBA. Oh, you're starting this business. Oh, like you might, and now it's come to fruition. So she invested, and now she wants to get her ROI. She wants to get her return. She gambled, and in her mind, she won. But this is absolutely the guy's fault as well. Like, you have to set this from the beginning. This idea that you're going to work hard and I'm going to work hard. And I mean, the guy said, I bought a condo for us, if I'm not mistaken, in that paragraph. So it's like, you're kind of talking out of two sides of your mouth here, Jack. You got to kind of figure out what exactly you say that I don't like that she spends this money. I don't like, but you're giving her the ideas that she's entitled to it because you're taking your money and you're spending on her, or you're giving her things, because you want to, but it's a slippery slope, man, especially when money is involved. Women grow accustomed to a certain status of living, and then it'll go up, and then grow accustomed to that. Then it needs to go higher. They grow accustomed to that. We have mutual friends, and we know guys that have made hundreds of millions of dollars, and they can't even take a nap on their couch because their wife comes downstairs and says, "What the hell are you doing falling asleep? Why aren't you out there making money?" Yeah. I mean, they're both messed up here. I mean, look, like, if the guy is smart, he'll just cut bait and go. 25 millions of dollars in the bank, so much time, you know. But he's really backed himself into an interesting corner here.
Yeah, the other thing that you gotta contemplate in scenarios like this is if you end up in a situation where you have a kept woman at home, right? Like we're not talking about mom here or children. We're just talking about she's your sugar mom, you know, whatever it is you want to call her. Like, you know, she's your or sugar baby, you know, whatever the fucking equation is. You've now got a dependent, and once you have a dependent living under the same roof and common law kicks in, she has rights. She has legal rights to not just half of that asset or half of your assets, but maintenance, alimony, you know, whatever the state's going to throw at them, usually into perpetuity. Because the argument that her lawyer will make in a family court is that, well, she abandoned her studies to look after him and support him emotionally, right? And, you know, make sure that he could reach the status and wealth that he did, that, you know, so that he could sell his company and achieve that position with a high paying salary and get the exit and the 7-figure number and all that sort of stuff. And the courts
the same argument they gave Mackenzie Bezos, like, oh, Mackenzie Bezos built Amazon. It's like, get the fuck out of here. What?
Yeah, exactly the same sort of thing. And it's like, you know, you have to be very careful as a guy, how you structure your life, how you live, you know, how the government views your living situation, right? It's not just cut and dry, just like, oh, you know, I'll live with her because I love her sort of thing. And it's like, that was a common trope for a long sort of, you know, period of time. It's what most guys look for, but you have to recognize how the government views your living situation and what could happen if you were to part ways, which will happen more often than not, right? Like people generally don't stay together in a perpetuity. But it is what it is.
And not only that, real quick, she's gonna get bored. Like Claudia, this is a good point too. Like she's gonna get bored, right? Like sitting at home doing what? Bored women, like a bored woman is a cheater. Like that's really what it boils down to. A woman that sits all day twiddling her thumbs, is looking for excitement. Like, you're never home. You're not attentive to me and my needs. You can only watch so many reruns of Sex in the City or whatever the hell women watch these days before she starts, you know, hitting up guys that she used to talk to. Like, oh, like, well, oh, he's at work. Why don't you come over for a cup of coffee? Or the pool boy comes over, or whatever it is. Yeah, let's catch up, just as friends. So, you know, if you're going to continue to go down this road, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a guy supporting his woman, especially if she's going to be the mother of his kids or is the mother of his kids. That's honestly the ideal. That's your agenda. Until then, if she doesn't have kids or something like that to keep her preoccupied, you've got to put her to work somehow. Now, I'm not saying involve her in your business. Tell her to open up an Etsy shop. Tell her to go, you know, do virtual EA for some, I don't know, like just you gotta find a way for her to fill those, you know, 4 to 8 hours a day. So she's just not sitting around waiting for you to come home and she's, you know, looking for a neighbor to screw up behind your back.
It's always unwise to keep a kept woman in your house in a Western world, but you know, people don't listen to me on that one. Speaking of boredom and relationships, it's kind of the topic of my Unplugged Alpha show on Wednesdays, the Tom Brady Giselle situation. I've had quite a few people actually message me and say, hey, you know, can you break it down and look into it? And I don't know all the details yet, but I just bookmarked this to sort of mention it today, and I'll be dealing with this in a lot more depth. I got to read a bunch of articles and see if there's any video interviews, but that's essentially what happened. You know, Tom Brady got cheated on by his supermodel wife after 7 rings. Purportedly, she wanted him to retire and not play another season. But I mean, his last season, he got paid like $70 million or something like that. And she ended up banging her kid's jiu-jitsu instructor. So there's an example of, you know, her exacting a level of retribution. And, you know, I've mentioned this to a few people, you know, in passing, and they all almost always, you know, say the same thing. Well, what did he do? You know, did he cheat on her, you know, sort of thing. It's like, they always go to that, right? And even if he does, like who cares? Who cares? He's Tom frickin' Brady, right? Anyway, I'll go down the rabbit hole on that on Wednesday, so I'll save that for a little later on in the week. And I got to figure out what exactly happened with that, because I don't follow sports and the drama around it. But
it's like 2 years old too. It's like, I mean, it's only resurfacing now because she's newly pregnant.
She's pregnant,
yeah,
right?
Because
so
actually, somebody DM'd me about this. She's like, oh, can you guys talk about Tom and Giselle? I'm like, that was 2 years ago. Why? So like now she's pregnant with the guy's kid, and yeah, there's a lot to unravel there. I mean, I will say from what I've read, real quick, like from what I've read, at least what her camp is saying, that she never cheated on Tom Brady and they didn't get together until after the divorce was finalized, something like that. But you know,
I'll find
of course,
it. Yeah. So there's this funny X account called Garbage Human.
Oh God.
And the caption's like, you got to be kidding me. So this is like one of your typical, an overestimation of market value sort of gal. So she's 41, and the caption says, "I'm driven, loving woman and mama looking for my committed, loving partner. Will be a match." And then she has a list of all the things. Of course, women always have a list of what their demands are, and they're openly listing these on dating apps right now. And it goes, are abundant and make at least $300,000 a year, have built a $4,000 a month in passive assets and so passive income monthly, are good with children and would be excited to co-parent my toddler. So she's a single mom, and are open to 1 or 2 more kids with a 41-year-old that looks like this. Can work from anywhere. So you have a location independent business, and are down to work and / live abroad. Apologize easily and would happily do therapy if it helped our relationship win, tell the truth, and want long-term love. What do you think of a gal like Anastasia, Moff?
This guy just doesn't exist. I mean, literally does not exist. And the money, and I love how it's like, oh, you've started at least 4,000 a month, but you're just getting started, right? There's more room to grow. You better just be getting started if you can 4K a month passively. And then the whole thing, like, it's not even be willing to co-parent it's be excited. You have to be stoked to father or be a parent to some other dude's kid who is in their most developmental age and stage. And now that's a burden that you're going to have to bear. Already talking about going to therapy, already assuming that she's going to be the one that's right in the relationship and you're wrong, so you must apologize. And if you don't apologize, we're just going to go to therapy, and then the therapist will tell you why you're wrong, and then you'll apologize. Looks way older than 41. My God, man. I mean,
yeah, they usually
who's telling these women that these men exist? Like, I don't even get it. It's like, who are you what example are you seeing in Hollywood or TV or in real life or anywhere are these women seeing this man that fulfills even half of these requirements?
I've said this before. It's like a Motel 6 asking for Ritz-Carlton rates, right? It's just, that's not how basic economics work. And, many times we've had this conversation about the wall. And, for those that are newer to the channel and the concept, the wall actually comes from sports and athletics, right? Like, they would say a pitcher's arm was kind of useless after a while, and he hit the wall, and they would have to retire him and put him out to pasture, sort of thing. But this was adapted into the sexual marketplace, and they would say, at some point, men and women hit the wall where they're just not as appealing to the others as they had been in the past. And for women, it's a two-step process. They'll hit the wall first in the early 20s. There's very little debate about this from an Evo Psych, perspective, but most people around the world will say something along the lines of, a woman's looks start to go on the decline after 22, 23. Fine, whatever it is, that number. But they don't come to the realization that's a reality until at some point later on in their life. Sometimes it's in their 30s, sometimes it's in their 40s. But they have to come to the realization and surrender to the fact that they can no longer compete with younger, more attractive, fertile, beautiful women. Like, I don't know how old she is, but she does look older than 41. Some people say that that's fake. It's one of those fake, like, Photoshop things is sort of like incite outrage and stuff like that. But this is too common to, and even if it was fake, it's too common to not be like uncommon. You do see this a lot. Like we've seen this time and time again. We even saw this when we were doing the Ladies Night series. Number of women. There was one gal that we had on. Remember, she was from Turkey. She was visiting her friend. She was like 43, 44, and she's like, "I'm so valuable. I'm beautiful." And it's like, to who? Like, well, I'm a great mom. Yeah, to the kids that you already have. Right? You're not going to bring any new children to the relationship. Right. You're just not there anymore, right? And it's like they don't have the ability to self-reflect and say, okay, well, I have to correct. I'm not the Ritz-Carlton anymore. Maybe she was when she was 22. I'm now the Motel 6. And you got to start asking for Motel 6 rates. And that's just the way that it is, right?
Yeah. I mean, women, as they get older, they don't get wiser when it comes to their choices. Their laundry list of requirements gets longer and more intricate and more detailed. And it's, and women wonder, or people wonder, why older, good-looking guys who are worth their salt want to deal with soft, submissive, agreeable younger chicks that don't have these lists. They just want to have a good time, and they just want to be, with a dude that has got it going on. But yeah, it's sad. And to your fake point, yeah, I don't know, and we know, I know there's one guy here who says it's got to be fake, but we know, we know Robert, right? But there's always a comment like that, and I'm not saying he's, he might be messing around, but there's always people like, oh man, you guys are so gullible. This is so clearly fake. It's like, we've seen this hundreds, if not thousands of times. Like, we've seen this happen so often that even if this particular instance is fake, these type of women absolutely exist by the thousands. I mean, they're just out there. So you can bury your head in the sand all you want, but it's a reality.
Yeah, stuff's gone the car route. It's like paying for a Kia with McLaren rates.
How dare you compare women to cars, Steph? They're people. God damn it! How dare you? So what a misogynist.
Yeah. Here's another one that I tripped across that got a lot of reach, and it's just a 4-page sort of meme. It's like, Mike was better in bed, Josh had a Porsche, Paul took me to Dorsa, Peter was 6'1". And it's like, the question I ask you, like these days is this a typical week for modern Western women? And unfortunately, the reality of it for a lot of men, the frustration does exist because it accurately reflects a lot of the experiences that men are having today, with women. It's like, like there's some genuinely good guys out there. And I've seen some of these videos now on YouTube. There was one that I was watching earlier. It was a 51-year-old guy, and it's a newer sort of channel. And it's like one of these guys, he's like retired military dude. And he's decently good looking. He's a really nice guy. Like, he comes off as like that nice Christian guy that always wanted to have a family. And he's like going down a list of all the stuff that he's seen trying to accomplish that. And it invariably pushes guys into a place of like almost nihilism, sometimes MGTOW. They even get black pilled, sometimes they just sort of uncheck. And I get it because, as I look at the comments over here, nothing's ever good enough for many of them, and it's all echoing the same sort of thing that you see in this imagery. And it's unfortunate because women have this misconception today that there's always something better out there. And it's like, just learn how to act right as a woman. If you have a good guy and, you have good connection and chemistry, and he ticks off like all the boxes, probably, or most of them anyway. But there's always that, Mike was better and best, or so-and-so had a Porsche, or so-and-so had a whatever. And it's like, dude, I'm telling you, it doesn't matter how good you are. Women will always find something to be, hard done by. It's like, oh, there's something missing. Like, he looked at somebody the wrong way, or he looked at me the wrong way, and I saw something in his eyes, and blah, 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 sort of thing. It's like, just get over yourselves, girls.
Prince Charming doesn't exist.
Here's a cop video, and we've had conversations about this before, and I'm glad this came across my feed.
Yeah.
This is, I think it's older footage. It doesn't look
seen
new
this
to
one.
me, but just check it out. So these two gals can't take this one guy down.
I love the little leg kick right there.
Yeah, it's like a little karate.
Oh, slips it. See ya.
And he's a skinny dude. He's not a strong guy.
Bye-bye.
Oh, she's got his jacket.
Oh, monsieur est gone. Oh, lui est monsieur est gone.
The best part's coming. There it is.
She left the handcuffs on the ground. I mean, at least she didn't leave the gun on the ground, right?
Jesus.
But, I've said this before, like, men and women are different. Why can't we embrace the fact that men are better at some things than women, like violence, and, women are better at some things than men, like childcare, nursing, and nurturing sort of thing. But we, for the sake of, fairness and inclusivity and treating everybody the same, we put women in harm's way. I mean, these gals are lucky they didn't get punched or cut or
he was
shot.
Scrawny. Imagine he was like twice that. He was a big brolic dude. Like, are you kidding? I mean, who's the idiot that put those two in the same car together? First of all, like, how do you?
This girl on the right here probably weighs the same amount as this guy. Like, he's a skinny dude. They're both about the same height, and she's heavier. She probably weighs the same amount, if not more. And both of them weren't able to take him down.
They should be on bikes. They shouldn't even have a car. Should be demoted to bike cop. But and it's like, you get a guy like Andy Frisella, who's still soft for apologizing, but he goes on and says, dude, like, if I wanted to, like, a guy his size, he's like, I could destroy both of these women easily. And it's like, He's not wrong. It's just the fact. Like, I don't know why there's such a problem with this. And it's, I mean, what's it going to take? Like, how many people are going to have to get killed because a woman accidentally pulls her gun out and shoots somebody instead of her taser, or a female cop gets killed because some crackhead or some dude does not care. And if it's between you and him, he's going to pick him the whole time, and you're not going to be able to do anything about it. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's just, I don't know why. I'm surprised that there aren't more stories out there of women, especially beat cops, like just getting the shit kicked out of them on a daily basis.
It's common because most criminals are male. And you know, if you put a couple of gals together and give them some body armor and a gun and some handcuffs and stuff and some training, and the training's lighter, it's easier for women. I mean, I've seen video footage where very similar type of, you know, situation, and he submits her and he steals her car and he just drives off with a cop car.
Yep.
Sort of thing. Like, I've seen a number of different versions of that. Like, I don't think women should be in the military. I don't think women should be in firefighting. I don't want to be in a burning building, like oxygen deprived on the ground, about to die, and there's a woman trying to drag me out, right? Like, I want a big, strong man.
I know I'm done.
You know,
I'm like,
yeah,
I'm like, yep. Hey, tell my parents and the people I love them, because I know I'm dead, and you're dead too. Like, I don't know why they said you. We're both dead.
It's sad, man. You know, because
the worst part is, like, people just won't be honest about it, and it's just, I mean, I was having a back and forth with the guy on this today. He's like, "Oh, women can do everything men can do. They can do it just as good, if not better." And it's just like, man, where do you guys get your information? I mean, I live in reality. I have statistics. You know, I mean, we can go by any measure, and it's like, you know, if you're trying to be realistic and honest about the way things go, it's just people are afraid. They're afraid to say the wrong things because they have to, you know, they're owned and paid for, and they have to, you know, toe the line, whether it's the company they work for or whether it's affiliation to local government, law enforcement, whatever you have. Like, it's sad, man. Like, most people are shackled by you know, the same type of people that are trying to stay in power. They're the kind of people that will throw you in jail for the things you say and the things, your opinions that you have. So where we live in now.
Did you see the amount of celebrity endorsements that came out in the last few days for the Harris campaign, John Bon Jovi?
And of course, they're only the most literate and well thought out speakers and the most coherent and articulate members of society that are putting out their endorsements for these people. Cardi B, the scholar that we know is Cardi B, who is known for her chart-topping hit "Wet Ass Pussy," or sorry, WAP, excuse me. Yeah, she's that's who's firmly in the Harris camp. So, you know, if you're on that side, then you're in good company.
I think they either have many of these characters blackmailed and they're all or they're paid, or it's
a Diddy thing.
Yeah, there was
it's all money.
Yeah, there was a minor influencer that mentioned that she got a email from the Harris campaign managers to you know, take an opportunity to endorse the Harris campaign for compensation, and they showed the email. So I think it's one of the two. I mean, you know, J-Lo's warning against a Trump presidency, but it's like, why would you take advice from J-Lo when she was the one that basically spent time with Diddy? And there's a lot of
real hush hush about that.
Yeah, right. You know, let's keep that on the down low until the election's done, you know, sort of thing. Speaking of which, we got our boy Jack Donovan here that put out a banger of a thread.
So good.
Earlier this week, which I'll just go through, because when Jack writes, you know, one of my favorite essays, and he's had some great books, and I've mentioned you guys before, Read the Way of Men, you know, Becoming a Barbarian, stuff like that. But when he puts his mind to like a solid essay, one of my favorites is I Don't Care, and I've mentioned that one before. You can go look it up on the internet. But he says over here, and I'll just read it to you guys: the outcome of the Trump campaign will have a dramatic effect on the collective consciousness of men, not only in America but worldwide. We are at a major tipping point in masculine psychology in the Western world and the Americas. The Democrats put all their eggs in the future is feminine basket. They made it clear that their main priorities included abortion, emasculation, wealth redistribution, and the sterilization of not only men but children. The wars no fighting age men want to fight. Men want the same thing that they've always wanted: vitality, prosperity, opportunities to compete for status and distinguish themselves among other men, access to desirable women to mate with and raise families, collective self-determination. And put in brackets there, our best guys are in charge. Men are simple. Even smart every smart leader in history has known that if you want men on your side, you have to offer them wealth, women, and winning. The Democratic Party offers none of those things to men. Their best pitch is moral imperative to help women and punish bad men. And who gets to decide what bad men are, right? The Trump campaign offers men improved health, MAHA. I think that's the JFK sort of movement, right? Opportunities for wealth, and as Trump's model wife and desirable family suggests, women and fertility. How many kids has Trump has? He's got 6 or 7 or something like that, right?
A couple of them, yeah.
Yeah. MAGA makes being an American feel like being on the winning team. Being on the winning team physically raises men's testosterone. If Trump wins, we'll see an opportunity window for optimism and seeking solutions to the problems men have been facing the past several decades. Men and women are ready to seek out those solutions. The end of men, Trump fallism of 2010's feminism was crushed under the queer juggernaut of gender confusion and transsexuality. The future can't be feminine if no one knows what a woman is. Trump and Musk together signal a new nationalism, a desire to prioritize big families and growth, and a measured return to patriarchal perspective. There will be a lot of butthurt from bear and cat ladies of the new nationalism. National? I think you spelled that wrong. Many will feel
Natalism.
Yeah. Natalism, yeah. Sorry, right. But men and women will want what they've always wanted. The net product of feminism has been OnlyFans, Tinder hookups, STDs, alcoholism, and loneliness. Many men will be left behind at the age of the new natalism. I'm going to have to look up that word, get the definition. Let's copy that. Oops. Don't tell me I did that. Come on. Free and fair election. Care about their health and prosperity. Herald New American nationalism, not a fascist kind of democratic fear and extremely online. RW, who's RW? Right-wing Satanists fantasize about. I hope some corrupt actors are brought to justice, but beyond that, it'll just be measured. 2020 showed Americans that their government didn't actually care about their health or prosperity. That's the scamdemic he's making reference to. People assumed before the government wanted Americans to be healthy and prosperous, but the politicians were simply making bad decisions, and that was revealed to be a lie. To the people of a nation, it's almost done. To the people of a nation, the only legitimate purpose of government is to facilitate the survival, health, happiness, and prosperity of citizens in that nation. I would argue it should even be less. I think government should be less involved in even that. The U.S. government currently serves the interests of the U.S. government at the expense of its citizens, and people they just don't see this. A Trump win signals a return to legitimate purpose of government, and that would be what people want, or at least want to believe. Americans want things set right. Aside from illegal immigrants, they don't want people rounded up with any crazy shit you hear from right-wing types. I don't believe there's any chance Trump will lose a free and fair election, not now, not against an airheaded puppet, but the election may not be free or fair. If Trump is not allowed to take office, the psychology of men worldwide will go to a dark place. Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and most Western European nations are already all anti-male, anti-nationalist, anti-self-defense, anti-nationalist, anti-free speech. Most are smugly, subvertly the interests of citizens and importing culturally hostile foreigners. The U.S. is the holdout. He's right. It is the last holdout. Elon Musk and many others have suggested this may be the last meaningful election in Canada due to Democrat deep state encouraged immigration policies, coupled with a willingness to fix elections and a media that will cover it up. This seems likely. I've said this before. I mean, he's got to win by a landslide. It's got to be a strong landslide because they will cheat. We've already seen evidence of them cheating, right? You know, with a lot of stuff that's come out already. If Trump is not allowed to take office, the Americans are doomed for a generation of same mangled decline of quality of life, personal freedom, opportunity that the rest of the Western world already knows well. Men worldwide will experience hopelessness. If Trump does not take office, there will be a sense of the collective consciousness of men worldwide. Things will be getting worse, and we will not live to see them get better. Some will still prosper. Many will look to Muslim and developing nations for opportunity. If Trump does not take office, many will protest, but civil war seems unlikely. I agree with that. A lot of people say that it's closer than we think, but they always seem to kick the can down the road, don't they? Based on the response to 2020, American men seem unlikely to rise up, and even if they wanted to, what Washington would lead them? Trump's not a warrior. Who would men trust? Maybe Jocko. Minecraft sidebar. During the days following the election, the outcome remained unclear. On a routine trip to McDonald's, Trump was betrayed, black-bagged, and flown to a detention camp in an undisclosed area. On a routine trip to McDonald's, Trump was betrayed. Is that a Minecraft video?
I think it's a Minecraft thing.
Yeah, okay. If Trump takes off, there'll be a brief window of optimism and the opportunity for a worldwide paradigm shift. If Trump does not take, There will be a measurable worldwide test step, and men will experience hopelessness and despair. Many men will give up on America permanently, and so will many investors. A doctor friend of mine has removed his family to Dubai. Ambitious men who want families will leave America behind as their ancestors once left Europe and elsewhere. We shall see. Thanks for reading the thread. Blah, 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 blah. It's a banger of a thread, and I've said this, man. It's
really
like, I don't think things will improve anytime, even if Trump does get in. I just think they'll stop getting worse, right? I think if the Harris campaign gets in, it'll just keep getting worse, or it'll accelerate. But I think at this point, it's just a matter of trying to put the brakes. You know what a train is, right? Like when a train's got momentum, they're big, heavy, long objects, and it's like you try to slam on the brakes. We've seen this, before, where the crossing gates, go down on like a road crossing, and there's a school bus or a truck or something on it, and they just plow through because they can't stop. It's the same sort of thing with government. It's like you're going to have to make a dramatic shift. And you did the whole drain the swamp last time. Let's drain the swamp and get at the bad players and all that sort of stuff. And I never really saw it. Like I never really saw much change. A lot of people have said, it doesn't matter if Biden's president, if Obama's president, if Bush, was president. I still do well in life. Like I still figure out a way to make it happen. But I think that this tipping point that we're at is pretty significant. I don't know. What are your thoughts on all that, man?
Well, I think it's about, if he does get elected, what he can institute that are going to be long-term plays. I don't know if it's necessarily looking at, the next 4 years are going to be this prosperous return, new age. I mean, I think that's going to be part of it. I do think there's going to be some of the major issues I think will get fixed. I think illegal immigration gets fixed. I do think inflation slows. I think his diplomacy overseas and the
kind of last time though, didn't Congress block it when he tried to put up the wall and change the border policies and all that?
I think now I'd have to see. I don't know if the Republicans have control of the House. My guess is they do. I think since like 2000, I don't know, even to the Reagan administration, I think that the midterm election always flips the other way. So, I mean, I think he does have an opportunity to get some things done in the first couple of years. But the thing that, I tend to think about is, Supreme Court. And essentially, he's going to be in charge of the appointing Supreme Court justices. There are murmurs going around that a couple of justices may retire in the next couple of years. And if he can institute, because Supreme Court justices in the U.S., they serve life terms. There's no term limit. So they serve, once they're elected, they serve until they die. And so, I mean, you just literally, an issue that just went to the Supreme Court, where 3 Democratic judges voted against this, was voter ID registration. Having to be a legally registered voter or ID voters at polling locations. They voted, thank goodness, voted in favor of voter ID 6-3, but the 3 dissenting judges were all Democratic. And so if that's allowed to happen and they can flip the court, I mean, that can have reverberations politically and on policy for decades, not just, the next 4 years or 8 years or whatever it is. So, I just think to Jack's point, I think we need a rejuvenation. I think men need to feel like they matter again. I think men need to have a sense of duty and purpose and mission. And I think that's what they get with a guy like Trump, Yeah. And it's just a guy that they would want to have a beer with. It's a guy that they would want to pal around with. And I think it was funny. I was, watching his Rogan appearance, and super well reserved. Like a guy, like they had just a 3-hour conversation. It was fun to watch. Same thing with Vance. Like somebody said, I read a tweet. It was like, it's crazy to me that like Tim Walz and Kamala Harris tried to tell everybody that JD Vance was weird. He's literally the most normal guy on the planet. He's like a guy I could see myself hanging around with. And people are already saying like, that dude's going to run in 2028. It just wiped the floor with people. So, it's, I know where I'm putting my eggs in what basket. I think that either way, we're going to be fine. We've insulated ourselves. We're anti-fragile. There's a lot of people out there that aren't, and that's kind of the price you pay for not being prepared. But I do think that if she somehow pulls this out, you've got a front row ticket to the world's greatest dumpster fire reality show of all time, and that's going to be her presidency. So we'll all know where we were for those 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, Jack alluded to it in one of the thread paragraphs where he's talking about, throughout history, men have been promised, fame, power, women, family, like as a consequence of putting in the work and the effort. Any great empire, Mongol, Roman, Viking, like, the spoils were what you did the work for, right? And that doesn't exist today anymore. Now it's like neutered men, soft, soy, weak, don't have an opinion, just nod your head and do what everybody else says, for you to do. But in the past, everything great was built on that mindset of like, hey, let's build our army. Like in the Roman legions, they would give land and women to these conquering armies, the leaders of these armies, as a reward for the efforts that they made for the empire, sort of thing. And he didn't mention in the thread, but the notion of the empire of nothing still exists, because that's what we've built today. That's what modern Western government and countries have built, is degeneracy. OnlyFans brings in more money, $2 billion more than all the I think it was the NBA payrolls combined. So you can see where people's attention and money and priorities lie, is just in things like degeneracy and like mediocrity and nothingness, like an empire of nothingness, essentially, that really has no meaning. But that's the state that we're in. And like I said, I think Trump will just slow that down. It's not going to stop. It's not going to improve in a term that he might hold. He's going to need Vance or his kids or somebody else to continue that movement. And I guess we'll see. Like, when is the election called? Like, it's on the 5th. It's tomorrow.
It's supposed to be tomorrow, but I mean, there's already.
But they're saying it's going to take days after to count everything.
And it's hilarious that the swing states are always the one that's like, hey, by the way, we're not going to have this done. Meanwhile, Florida, the third biggest state in the entire union, has never needed that. And they get all their votes counted in one day. So, I mean, they're basically telling you they're going to try to fix the thing. It looks like there was some legislation, or there were some ballots, or there was a motion that got knocked down in the Georgia Supreme Court or in a Georgia court that they want to have an extra couple of days to count ballots, or they need to have extra time for this and that. And they're like, nope, not going to happen. So I mean, there does seem to be, at least in the circles that I see in the time that I spend on X, like there does seem to be kind of this anticipation in the air, and people are really thinking that he's going to pull this off. Like there seems to be, and maybe that's just because, my feed is curated to people that think like me and act like me. And if you're not doing that already, like, you're messing up. You should do that on purpose. But there does seem to be this kind of, some of the numbers are getting reported that women aren't showing up to the polls like they thought, or, Trump was trailing, and somebody said something today where it was like the Reagan race, they were neck and neck in the polls leading up to it. And then he won 44 states in the Electoral College. It was just an absolute, it was a dumpster fire for the other guy. So yeah, we don't know. I mean, hopefully everything is going to be called on election night. I would be surprised if it does. I would say more likely we're waiting until probably mid-afternoon on Wednesday before anything is officially called, unless he just runs away with the thing and then it doesn't even matter. So I'd be very surprised if we have a picked winner by tomorrow night.
So I have a theory, and I think, and I want to hear from you guys in the chat too as well, but I think that the world would be a better place. Like, I mean, let's use the United States as an example. If you did the country and you divided it probably in half, minimum, maybe in like half with smaller pieces of the pie as well. But if you took the country and you just split it down and said, okay, West Coast Democrat, East Coast Republican, and if you happen to be a Democrat on the East Coast, just move and move your family and everything, and you can live in the environment that's governed by a government into perpetuity that you think is best for what it is that you want. And then just let the dust settle over the next decade or two and see what happens to those two nation states, right? Like, you'll see if those values outshine these values, and people will move to where they're going to be treated best, right? Like, if it's still under the United States and you can move to wherever you want, maybe there's like a part of, I don't know, Arkansas or Oklahoma or something like that. It's like a libertarian, because they've got like a libertarian candidate, and that represents, I don't know, 6% of the vote or something like that. So you take 6% of the land mass and you give it to that candidate. Sort of, it's like, if you want a libertarian lifestyle, go move over there, sort of thing. I would be all for that. I think that would be a fantastic option versus just, you know, the way the political system works and the cheating and the mechanisms and all the sorts of stuff in place that forces the entire country to be governed under policies that you don't agree with, right? Because a lot of people that don't want unvetted people crossing the border, right? Like they want to know that their kids are safe. Like they want to know that, you know, if they live in an apartment complex, it's not going to be taken over by a Venezuela gang that, you know, the police department don't have the resources to do anything about, right? Like they, you know what I'm saying here? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'd be all for something like that. But technically, that's how it should already exist. Like Nick brings up a great point here. It's like we should let the Constitution stand on its own. This is exactly what the Constitution says. It's all about giving as much power to the states and giving power to the people as possible in a small and limited federal government. And that hasn't, people don't care. They spit on the Constitution and they use it as a punchline as opposed to abiding by it. I mean, it's very funny when you ask somebody, well, what's the purpose of the Supreme Court? And it's to make rulings based on their own personal interpretation of the Constitution. It's your interpretation. It's all subjective at this point. And that's what I've always said. It's like, and it's like, leave it to the states. If I want somebody, if I want to live under a policy, or I want to be quote unquote governed, I hate even saying that out loud, or I want to have certain rules for the people that I live by and that I'm around, I'll just go move there. There's no reason that somebody that lives 3,000 miles away from me should dictate policy about how many rounds I'm allowed to carry in my weapon, or how people are allowed to come into my state, or how much money I should have to keep or not be able to keep. It just makes no sense to do it there. There are some things that should be, you know, federally registered and federally, you know, I don't know if mandated, but regulated. I mean, you know, a common currency, because for people that travel, it didn't make any sense with the Articles of Confederation when they tried to have individual city states. But essentially, you know, and it's and the biggest psyop of all is the idea that people think that the policies that are on the platforms, especially the abortion issue, there's never going to pass that. The Democrats, regardless of Kamala wins, will never pass it. It will never go back. It will never be, you know, re-ratified, because if they don't have it on the ticket, if it's not on the docket, if it's not as a part of a voter platform, women aren't going to show up. That's why the whole liberalism and progressivism side of the coin fails, because it's perpetuated and it's completely based on being a victim and having to fight for more progress. And so you don't ever win. You gain ground, you gain ground, you gain ground, you gain ground, and you think it's predicated on this forever struggle. And so, you know, there's people are just too dumb to see that. But yeah, I fully believe, like, if I want somebody to speak for me, if I want somebody to tell me what to do, I'll hire them. Just because you win a popularity contest doesn't make you the boss of me. And especially if you don't know my name or you don't live where I live, you should not have any say on what I do at all.
Fair points. Let's move on to the next one. So I just took this comment from one of my videos, and it looks like a gal was asking a question. Can I ask something here? She says, what does it mean when a man says we aren't a couple, but says we're partners? I'll answer that question first. Like,
he's gay.
But it's a looser way of identifying or labeling the relationship. Saying that you're partners is basically saying like you're equals, like you're partnered, but you're not a couple. So you're a partnership, but you're not exactly a couple. She goes, I'm in love with this man and want to create life, adventure, and experience with him. I'm assuming when she says life, she means children. That's usually where I go to. I don't know if it just means like them together life. But I don't know where I stand with him. Well, he's already told you where you stand with him. I've asked him and he just says, we'll see. Does that mean no, or possibly in the near future to see how it unfolds? And I always provide simple and constructive feedback. And I have done so for a while, you know, it comes to the gals too. And all I said to him is when you ask him about the future, ask him how to change that maybe to a yes, and then do those things very well and into perpetuity. And I say to ladies all the time, it's not complicated. If you want to lock down a guy and you're with him and you're intimate, I mean, you know, women will say, well, if you give away, you know, the milk for free, then why would he buy the cow, sort of thing. And it's like, whatever. I mean, intimacy is going to precede commitment in today's world. It's just the way that it is, right? Like we are, you know, we're past the sexual revolution. We've got hormonal birth control for decades now, close to a century. I mean, practically at this point, you know, free abortion for everybody, you know, as many times as you want, sort of thing. So you're already giving away the milk for free. But if you want him to commit to you, and she says, create a life adventure and experience, like if you want more than just friends with benefits, which is maybe where they're at, I don't know, then just be like, hey, I dig your vibe. I like you. I want to build a life with you. How do I turn that maybe into a yes? And then just do the shit that he wants. I don't know why this is so complicated for women to understand. Just act right. It's been difficult for women, and for me even frustrating at times. Why don't women act right? Just fucking listen to the words, and then when they tell you what to do, just do it. It's not complex. Guys are very, very simple. If you show loyalty and respect to him, he will take care of you. He will, and it may not be in the way that you want, as defined in the ways that you want specifically, but within the means that he has and the way that he wants to do it, guys will take a bullet for you.
I got nothing to add.
There's another video clip here that went super viral. It's funny because I came across this and I shared it, and all the big names just stole it from me, didn't give me credit, and they just started to pop it out there. So, I mean, this is your boss girl. You know, she's in a power suit with padded shoulders, sort of thing.
So ugly.
I mean, let's just play it and have a listen.
I would love to be a stay-at-home mom. I would love to be a homemaker and a wife. I would love to be able to live on a homestead and go milk my cow.
I always love when women are like, "Oh, I'd love to be on a homestead."
His fantasy.
Like, do you have any idea how much work a homestead is? Like,
no, they have no idea.
Yeah, like they think it's a piece of cake, right? Anyway,
they like take pictures, like selfies with their chickens, like, oh, like my little animals, or like my little babies, my pets. Like, no, dude, like go shovel manure
and go milk my cow and take the eggs out of the chicken coop and have one baby in the belly and on my hip and another toddler coming behind me. That's like my dream, but I can't fucking do that because the way the economy is set up is I'm forced to work. I'm forced to get an education, a higher education, a college degree in order to make enough money that I can be financially independent and afford my own home or my own rent or my own gas or my own groceries, my own insurance. And it's extremely difficult to do that. And it's very isolating as a woman when you have to do all of that all on your own and you can't find somebody that you can outsource some of those chores and financial responsibilities like you would with a spouse. So no, being a single working woman absolutely sucks. It's the worst thing ever. I hate it. I would go back to the 1950s in a second just so I wouldn't have to deal with this shit.
You're talking about a traditional nuclear family where the woman doesn't work in a married household with kids.
And statistically, that was the case.
You're a single woman who isn't married with kids yet. Like,
so I'm for it because of the way it is. Most women were married by the age of 21 up until the 1970s.
I think it's a woman's choice. Before that, it was societally encouraged to marry young.
Yeah, and it was better for women mental health-wise long-term to be able to go into that long-term committed relationship and have the established family instead of being forced to slave away for a corporation that doesn't like you, doesn't care about you, makes you sit under fluorescent lights for 8, 9, 10 hours a day. You get a lunch break, you get health insurance, but do you have somebody who loves you staring at you every day like your child? No, it's horrible.
Yeah, well, I mean, what was stopping her from getting married at 21 and having a family? Nothing. She just bought the bullshit that they sold her. Climb the corporate ladder, putting off having a family, get degrees. You go, girl. You need a man like a fish needs a bicycle. And it always ends. Like, I've seen this movie a million times. You know, we've had gals on the Lady Night podcast so many times. It said nearly the exact same thing, word for word. I was lied to. This is stupid. This sucks. I hate this. My life is meaningless. I was lied to. It's like, it's not just men that do this. You know, when I say this, humans in general love to complicate their life. And then once they've done that, they will justify why they did it. My life is complex for all of these reasons. And let me tell you why I did all of it. And it's like, I mean, these are all choices that you make, right? You know, your results are are directly connected without any, like, there should be no confusion whatsoever. The results you get are directly connected to your choices. Your choices are directly connected to your belief system. And if you believed, or if your family, if your mom or whatever, I mean, I think a lot of this, Moff, goes back to the removal of men from the household, and even men that are in the household, because roughly 43%, you know, something like that, you know, kids today are raised in a single parent household, which usually means single mom, because moms still get custody orders the vast majority of the time. Even the men that are in the household are often pussified, right? Like, I've dealt with a lot of families. I've had a lot of relationships, and I've seen, how men behave in those families and how they behave in the families, within extension that I have. And it's like, there's not a lot of strong leaders out there. Like, there's not a lot of patriarchal men out there that are able to put their foot down and say, you're a woman, you need to go and get married as early as possible, right? Otherwise, you're going to end up like this sort of thing. But most families, even with men around in the families, are female led. Like, they're matriarchal led, where the guy's bending the knee to her, and she doesn't respect him, or the women in the family don't respect him. And this is what you're going to get as a consequence of that. And it's an unfortunate consequence, but it's a reality of the environment that we live in today. And that's kind of like back to Jack's point, where he's like, this is where men are today, and this is where families are. And it's just like, I don't know, like, when people say, well, Rich, you've got a bizarre notion about the way things, are, you're kind of like a enjoy the decline sort of guy. And it's like, yeah, because all I can do is is define who matters to me, love them, put a perimeter around them, and do the best that I can to control that. And everything on the outside is them. There's us, and then there's them. And it's like, that's why I say, just enjoy the decline. Enjoy what you can control on the inside, and let the politics and all the weird stuff and the degeneracy and all that weird shit, it's going to happen. There's nothing that you can do. It's not my purpose to rally the troops or, create an uproar. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not that guy, right? Because then I can't control and love and improve the, the people on the inside, the ones that I care about. And it's like, dude, what do you do with that, right? Like, this is not getting fixed anytime soon.
I mean, that's why that's our whole platform, man. And it's like, if you don't do it that way, you'll go insane. If you try to care about every little thing, every woman on the internet crying over her Cheerios about how bad her life is, like, you'll go nuts. Or anybody, or men complaining about how women this, women that. Like, you just can't care. You have to care about fewer and fewer things, I think, as you get older, and you gain more life experience. But I mean, pretty clear from this woman's demeanor, she does not have a strong masculine father figure or a man in her life like that. We actually had a woman on Ladies Night who lived on a farm, and she goes, it's not all it's cracked up to be. It's not just this, Daisy, Goldilocks, Dorothy, Wizard of Oz act where you're like frolicking through the fields and getting your eggs. It's like you're working 12 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week. There's no breaks. So I don't know how this LARP got started about like, oh, I just want to live on a homestead and whatever. The reason, people invented things like the reason we invented things like the light bulb and cell phones and power grids so we could actually get away from that sort of stuff. It was so romanticized, and why are we still doing it? And two, it's funny. The thing that stuck out to me the most out of all that is the fact that she's not even looking for a man because she wants to be loved and she misses the star. She's touch and connection starved, and she wants a guy to love. It's just, I want to outsource the chores. I want to outsource the housework and outsource that just so I don't have to deal with it. But yeah, like another one that fell for the psyop of feminism, and another one probably raised by a woman that says, don't ever depend on a man, go to college, make your own money, be the boss babe. I mean, we're still seeing that today. It's happening every single day. And here's the thing, you can stop it tomorrow, but you certainly might not. Yeah.
And, she's talking about this. My sister and I didn't have a choice. They never talked about finding man and getting married or even being a stay-at-home mom or wife. I'm not saying there was anything wrong with it, but that's how, look, I know that culture, society, religion, family, Hollywood, all that stuff told you to go out and get degrees and climb the corporate ladder and put off family sort of thing. So I hate to say it, but it's not entirely your fault because of societal programming. You've been lied to. Yes, you've been lied to, but as an independent thinker, like as an adult, you still, and even today, you have access to so much information. I mean, when I was a kid, we didn't have these devices, and I'm aging myself now, but we didn't have the world access to world information at the palm of our hands. We just didn't. I didn't have my cell phone, my first cell phone until I was like 24 or 5 or something like that. And even then, it was just like a standard Nokia with buttons. It was just a phone. There was no smartphone, right? So you have access to all this information today, as a young gal, and disconnecting from the degeneracy, the encouragement to be promiscuous, share your body with multiple men, I tell women this all the time, when they ask me, run decisions and filters through the notion, would this disappoint my father? And if your father's a loser, run the filter through, would this disappoint my ancestors? Would this disappoint my great-grandfather? This decision that you're about to make, would this disappoint the people that brought me here on this earth, why I'm living and breathing today? But no, it's far easier to go and indulge in degeneracy, promiscuity, drugs, alcohol, woohoo, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, MDMA, just party it up. Who cares? Let's put it off till later. Tattoo our bodies up, top to bottom, look like trash. That's just where things are. But ladies, you have access to information at the palm of your hand. Choose wiser. Don't make unwise choices. Let me go down to the next one over here. Oh, I warned you guys at the start of the show. I got piles and piles of stuff over the last couple of weeks. So this will be a little bit of a longer show, but we got a call in here, which I found fascinating, that I kind of wanted to use as a talking point. So I'll play this first. It's like a minute and a bit, but it's relevant for many reasons. Let's pull this up here and hit play.
Lo and behold, I find out I'm pregnant, and there were 2 gentlemen, and they were both fantastic.
What?
So I tell both of them, but I'm like, I don't know.
Oh.
Wait.
You told them I don't know?
You said one of you is the father, but we don't know.
One of you is, and I honestly, this was never a plan. This was never like a scheme. This was just like, hey, I'm having fun. I'm 20 years old. Like, I'm trying to be safe.
So what did you do? Did you go on Maury?
We had to end up having a DNA test, and I'm still with my child's father.
Oh,
25 years later.
Wow. I did not expect this ending.
So were you genuinely in love with him, or when you found out it was his kid, were you like, well, now we just got to do the thing?
You know what? Honestly, they were both really great guys, and I didn't know which way it was going to go, but I knew that I was going to keep this baby regardless.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't put any expectations, but I did want to be honest with them. And holy, it was scary because I was young, but, it was the best outcome.
Yeah.
And he's an amazing father, and we've gone on to have a couple more kids.
That's awesome. Does your kid know how they came to be in this world?
Gosh, no.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Well, they don't know until they see this video. So the thing that a lot of people don't understand, there's a fascinating read out there, guys. I haven't done book reviews publicly on the channel in a long time. I used to do them like in the early days of the Entrepreneurs in Cars YouTube channel. I'd often just, because I was driving a lot, and I'd listen to a book and I talk about the book and what I thought about it. And if I, of course, liked it, then I would recommend it. But there's a book called Sperm Wars. I can't remember the author's full name. It's Robin something. But there's no other book out there under the same title. Women are only fertile for about 5 days a month. That's it. Okay. Like there's only really 4 or 5 days a month that a woman can actually get pregnant. Okay. But guys don't have any idea how often they share women. So in this book, and there's so much, it's just the problem with the book Sperm Wars, Moff, I don't know if you've read it.
No, but I've read excerpts, but not the whole thing.
Yeah. It's going to disappoint you. Like women will just become more disappointing because of what their their biology is. But it was revealed in the book that about 75% of women admit to being with 2 men unprotected within the fertility window, at least once in their life. And there was a contingent of women that also admitted to doing it within the same day and some within the same hour. That is in female nature. That is just hardwired into them. Most people don't know this, but the human sperm is designed to compete for the egg in the reproductive tract. I talked about this in my book in one of the chapters, but in primates, and make no mistake, guys, we're just a more evolved form of it. But in primates, and we were still monkeys, basically. Gorillas, for example, which exert control over a harem of female gorillas. All the fighting's done physically outside of the reproductive tract, which is why gorillas have tiny, dick and balls. Basically, they've got very low volume compared to something like a bonobo or a chimpanzee, where they got nuts the size of basically duck eggs. where a massive ass gorilla, like 1,000-pound silverback or whatever, has got like nuts the size of like a kidney bean sort of thing. So the competition happens outside of the reproductive tract because he has rights to his harem females. Only he will ever reproduce with them because he controls that environment. They're always within sight. He keeps an eye on shit. Any other male comes along, he beats the crap out of them. But in species where that doesn't happen, where there's no harem like that, the competition happens within the reproductive tract, and that's how they're designed. So the vast majority of women out there allow sperm competition to happen within the reproductive tract. This is surreal. This is just, the way things go. And she's talking about, well, just I'm 20, I'm trying to have fun and be safe. Like, how are you being safe if you're letting two guys nut in you, sort of thing, right? Read the book Sperm Wars. I'm not going to do a full breakdown on it because there's so much stuff in there that'll disgust you and disappoint you. But it'll get your head wrapped around the notion and the ideas of the way things are today. You got nothing. I like your on that one.
My God. I mean,
it's gross. Like, it's,
I don't even know what to say.
It's disgusting. Like, we're told one thing and then they behave the other way. Is what it is. This chick's come up before. It's been put in this reel now, where they've combined. And again, this is the same woman. This is what makeup and hair and lighting will do versus,
this one went viral, man. This is like, you're getting all kinds of hate for this one.
Dude, I got massive hate from women on this one. They're like, shut up. You don't understand endometriosis or whatever. Just watch this.
I do not accept a coffee or a walk as a possible date option, and neither should you. First of all, I'm not a dog that needs to be walked. Second, I have an espresso machine at home, works fabulous. We're not doing drinks either. You're gonna try to get me drunk and take me back home. No. We are doing dinner. You're gonna pick me up. We're gonna come to the restaurant. We're gonna see your table manners. We're just gonna, study you a bit.
I started the egg freezing process. I did some preliminary tests, which showed that my egg count is really low. The doctors did tell me that might affect my fertility. My eggs are high quality, but there's just not a lot of them. It's just so sad.
The dog in the background kills me.
Stupid fluffy white dog, comes over her shoulder because she's a dog mom. But I don't have any sympathy for this stuff. This chick was on Saucecast, by the way, prior to like when we did that show and we got on it with Adam and a few of the others. But she did the rounds on the podcast. She's that bougie girl that of Eastern European descent. Like, she's attractive. She's probably 40 or something like that. But she would brag about how her value is just as high as a 23-year-old. She's beautiful. Guys can't tell the difference. Like, with makeup and surgery, women can look beautiful and youthful into perpetuity, was her argument. And fertility is fine. You can have children at any age. And she would encourage women. And in that video, she's talking about, I don't do coffee dates. I have a fabulous espresso machine, sort of thing. You're going to take me out for dinner because I'm going to see what your table manners are like and, what you're going to order and if you're going to pay for it all, sort of thing. And look at what happens when you set your standards to such a ridiculous level. There are guys, myself included. I don't do dinner dates with chicks. Fuck that. I'm not sitting down for 2 hours with somebody that may not even be who they look like in the photographs, who may be miserable. Like, it's not a money issue. It's not like, prove myself. And there's lots of guys out there like this as well, where it's like, I'm going to check it out. Let's grab a coffee or a drink. We'll keep it simple, hour or less. Maybe we'll go for a stroll in a park, sort of thing. We'll take our coffees to go. But when you set these remarkably high standards and you encourage other women, with your little bougie content and all your hot ass makeup, looking good, thinking that this confidence is what guys want, and then they end up in this position where it's like, dude, face palm. Like, this is like, this right here is face palm right here. I mean, I'm hovering the cursor over the bottom part, but that's where it gets you. And then people got pissed off at me for sharing this. Like, if I read the comments, this got 1.7 million views. Like if I read some of the comments from some of the women that shared this, they were just arguing, oh, why you're criticizing her. It's not her
not sharing.
fault. It's not her
sharing
fault.
the screen or no?
Oh no, but
okay.
Here I got to go to the retweet thing on the engagement. Let me see if I can find it. Quotes. There we go. Let me see if I can find one of these. Oh, here we go. You weren't a queen. This one was positive. Where's the negative women? Just psychotic crying in front of a camera. I'll put it up on the screen when I find it. The amount of people commenting that, here we go. The amount of people commenting that this made them happy is concerning. She has endometriosis, nothing to do with her age. Dude, she's 40 years old. She's probably older than that actually at this point, because I remember seeing her talk about this about 1 or 2 years ago. You're way more fertile and capable of getting pregnant and carrying a child to term when you're younger. That's just the way that it is. Fertility drops off a cliff after 35, and it's already going downhill by 25, 30. Okay. So, to say that it's got nothing to do with age or it's a condition that happens mostly it's a total cope. Right. And I got so much of that hate, from gals on this topic. And it's just so bizarre. Like, why do we continuously lie and fluff women up and feed them this fucking bullshit? And then when you end up in situations like that, and it's like you call out the facts and you say, this is a fact. You point at the fact. You aim their fucking face at the fact. And it's like, no, that's not good enough for you, man. That's not a fact. Because my feelings say differently. And
No,
we
dude,
wonder why
misogynist.
we are where we're at today, right? Yeah, it's like you said, it's coping.
I mean, look, like we're not. You see, people think we share stuff like this. We're just like dunking on, like, oh, we're not happy about this. We're not like reveling in joy. We're not like, haha, like we're not pointing and laughing. We're saying,
like,
this is a cautionary
tale.
tale. Yeah, this is a cautionary tale. This could be you, because what you're doing. The guys that will fall for this, and the guys like, oh, okay, I guess I got to take you on a dinner date. She doesn't want those guys, and the guys are gonna be like, no, I'm not going to do that. They're not going to entertain her. So, I mean, she's taking herself out of the dating pool. And, again, we just say, like, if this is how you're going to act, you have agency, make your own choices. And if you play dumb games, you're going to win dumb prizes. This is a cautionary tale. This is for they're 22, 23, 24-year-old chick out there that's like, oh, I'm getting offered a real big promotion at work, but then I'm going to have to start working 20-hour days. And I really want to find a guy to settle down with and start a family, but I should take this promotion first. And I'll start doing that when I'm in my 30s. It's just, let this be a lesson. But I mean, it's everybody thinks it's not going to happen to them. Everybody thinks they're different. Everybody thinks they're special, and they're not. But it's, people just don't want to learn from the mistakes of others. They'd rather waste time trying to make them themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Deborah here's in the chat. She says, I tell them the facts. They don't want to listen to it. They always tell me a story of some 40-year-old mother.
Always. Every time.
There's lots of 40-year-old mothers out
my
there.
mom had me when she was 44. Like, okay. I mean, all right, man, good luck with that. Because guess what? You only got one shot. I mean, and if it doesn't work for you, then you can't go back in time. So, I mean, if you want to play Russian roulette with your fertility, knock yourself out.
Giselle's pregnant at 44. There's an area of, the city here, Moff, and I don't think I've taken you to it yet when you visited, but it's called the Beaches, and it's a well-to-do, affluent sort of like old town right on the lake. I used to date a gal that lived down there, and you go to the parks and the beach area, and it's filled with old parents. The guy's 40, 50 years old, she's 40 something years old, and they've got a toddler in a stroller. And they just look fucking beaten down. Like children are a drain. They're a lot of work. They're super high energy. And the other outcome as a result of putting off kids, later on in life, beyond freezing eggs and not being able to have children and crying about losing your opportunity to have kids, is you end up with a lot more special needs kids. Like, there's a reason why today the school system is filled with so many children that are on the spectrum. I remember when I was in school, maybe one kid that was like special needs, like, Asperger's, autistic, something like that. Now, if you ask teachers, like something like, I don't know, 20% of the classroom, it seems, in some cases higher, maybe a little bit lower, but, something like 1 in 5 probably are on the spectrum. And that's directly associated to the parents putting off having kids later on in life. And, some people will say, well, it's men's fault too, 60-year-old men have no business having children, their sperm's old and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, there's a little bit of truth to that, but the vast majority of it relies on the mother. Old eggs.
Yep.
And she's the one that like, carries the children. Like, the difference between men and women is women are born with all the eggs that they're ever going to have, right? Whereas men, we just keep making more sperm, right? Like, as you get older, obviously it's not as mobile as when you're younger, but you're always regenerative. Again, you can read the book Sperm Wars if you want to get into the details on that, but is what it is. Let's move on from that. So got another post here, and basically the title of this is Financial Abuse. Stay-at-home mom post. This gal over here says, my husband makes $250,000 a year and doesn't give me free access to his, and then puts in brackets, our money. He pays for all the bills and gives me a monthly allowance and money whenever I ask for it, but I don't have the ability to just spend from his account. We've been married for 8 years and a stay-at-home mom for 2. How do I get out of a financial abusive marriage? Now, we've talked about financially abusive marriages and relationships before. So it bears reminding, you have tasks, you have roles, you have parts of the bargain, right? In this case, he goes out and gets the bacon and brings it home and she cooks it up. There has to be a boundary set on how money is spent, when money is spent. And this sounds to me like it's a budgeting issue. It's like he sets a budget and says, this is what your allowance is, spend it on the groceries, the kids' extracurricular, they need clothes. It sounds like there's a discretionary fund when she describes money whenever I ask for it, but she's calling it a financially abusive marriage. And I've seen a lot of women, this is the sad part, because this is where guys get absolutely, completely destroyed, is that women will be like, I'm in a financially abusive marriage. And they'll get together with their girlfriends. Yeah, you're in a financially abusive marriage. Becky, I was in a financially abusive marriage and then I got divorced. And then what happens when they go to family law and they hire a lawyer? They get half his shit. They don't need to ask him for money. The courts just give her a maintenance payment and an allowance. And it's not minimal. It's not like within his budget. It's within whatever the guidelines say. It's not for what the kids need. And women will realize this at some point. And when they go from asking questions on Reddit, Moff, how do I get out of a financially abusive marriage because I need a little bit more money, and how do I fix this problem? And then somebody comes along and goes, hey, did you know that you can get divorced and take half his shit and not have to put up with his boundaries either? And the courts will just give you the money. And then there's a lot of women that'll just be like, I've got the kids, I've reproduced, I got what I want. I'm in a financially abusive marriage. I mean, if you say it enough times, you'll believe it.
Yeah.
I have to untie the knot, and they manipulate the father and separate him from the children and alienate him from the kids as a consequence, because they have to do it. The mothers have to separate the father from the kids and have custody for them to get maximum financial benefit. And you can see why when stuff like this pops up, this shit happens so often. Guys, you must be very, very careful on how you structure your life and how you have kids and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's just brutal. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that wakes guys up, but most guys don't wake up until it's too late. Till it's like, yeah, you're served. There's half your stuff gone. You have to, afford to be able to give her a certain life. She's accustomed to that's my favorite one. She's accustomed to a certain lifestyle, and it's your duty, even though you're not married to her anymore and you don't have any stake in her future whatsoever. She's grown accustomed to the lifestyle that you gave her. So now you have to continue to fund that lifestyle, even though she maybe even lives in your house and bangs some other dude in your formerly owned house. I mean, it's just unbelievable. We were talking the other day about how come somebody's not marching on DC or marching on the Capitol to get these laws changed. He's like, who's going to do it, dude? Women aren't going to do it when they have everything to lose or everything to gain and nothing to lose. Like, what's the incentive, right? I mean, it's just never going to happen. So it's like, it's better just to not play. Like, if you can't win, why play?
I've had women tell me, Moff, like over the years, Rich, I love you, I want to live with you, and create a life sort of thing. And it was like, my stance on living together. I can't live in a way that would invite the government to interfere in my life, in my money, if we have kids or any of those things, in such a way that would destroy me, right? But here's a potential solution, right? You're together, but you live apart, sort of thing. Put your house on Airbnb and rent it out and stay with me as much as you want, as long as you're male and your utilities are all in your name and we don't look like we're living together. Or here's another even better solution. If you really love your guy that much and you want to live with him and all that sort of stuff, why don't you rally the girls and go to Capitol Hill, go to Parliament and wave signs and burn those fucking barrels with wood and shit and stand outside in the cold and say, we love our men and they won't live with us because of your stupid laws. Change them. And we're not leaving until you do. But women won't do that. Why?
No.
Because it's completely in their favor and they know it. Right? There's another tweet that I, bookmarked here. And I said, the reason why there's so many divorces is because most women don't marry their first choice. Like, women don't usually get their first choice. When you're her first choice because she has genuine burning desire for you, and it goes in a perpetuity. It shouldn't be fleeting. It shouldn't be like a 10 out of 10 on GBD and then it goes to like a 7 or 8 out of 10 and then it sort of fluctuates back. It should be obvious to you. Most women don't choose their first choice. They sort of have to settle for what they can get, because often, there's a good video that Orion Teraband, put out today, and he's saying that there's 3 things that women often looking for. They look for attractiveness, wealth, and commitment, like loyalty. And it's like, with many things in life, there's like a list of shit that you want. It's like, well, I want them all. It's like, no, you got to pick like 2, right? Like, maybe you'll get loyalty and good looking, but he won't be rich. Maybe he'll be rich and loyal, but he won't be attractive, sort of thing. And it's like, most women have to settle for their second choice. It's very rare that women get their laundry list of wants, ticked off. And it's why they initiate 70% of the divorces. In the prior post, the gal was talking about him making $250,000 a year. Well, $250,000 in New York is not a lot of money, right? It's good money in buttfuck Idaho, right? So, there's these other elements that you got to contemplate as well too. But anyway, I'll move on. We have a married boyfriend next. My boyfriend is married is the title of this one. She's 28 and my boyfriend is 44 and married. Do I give him a baby is her question. So when I started talking to my boyfriend earlier this year, I didn't know he was married. Of course you didn't. Fast forward to May, an outside person knows him, came to me and said, hey, he's married, right? I lost it. I confronted him about it. And he said he thought that I knew because he's mentioned it before at our workplace. So they work together. Anyways, he said he's very unhappy and he's been for a very long time and only in it for the kids. So I decided to stay. He is now past the point of keeping his family together and tells me he's never loved anyone the way he loves me and can't control himself around me. And I give him all those feelings he's never felt before. This guy's, he's recently been asking me if I wanted to have his baby. Men, you should not ask a woman if she wants to have your baby. A woman should say to you, Rich, I love you so much. I want your baby so badly. Right? It's it's the same sort of thing when you form a marriage commitment, or a committed relationship. You don't go to her, hey babe, where do we stand? I love you so much. You're so good to me, blah, blah, blah. It's the other way around. Women come to the guy. Men are the gatekeepers to the relationship. Okay. Women come to the guy and say, I want to claim you. I don't want to share you. Where's this going? I want to build something with you, blah, 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 sort of thing. Same sort of thing with children. Guys should never be the one saying, hey, do you want to have my baby? That's ridiculous. That's going to get you in a whole bunch of trouble. I told him I refuse to have a child with someone who would only be available for me half the time due to him still being legally married. Oh yeah, but she's okay porking him and seeing him this entire time. But she draws the line on having a baby with him, right? But he keeps bringing it up. Do I stay in hopes that he's ready to leave his wife soon? Do I give him the baby that he wants? I'm lost. He's quite a few years older than me as well, so I'm lost on what to do, she says. It's been said many times that a woman would rather share a high-value alpha than be straddled with a faithful loser. It's why women will date married men, but not guys that are single and live in their mom's basement. There's an abundance of men out there with solid 9-to-5 jobs that pay them $367 a year. There's an abundance of guys out there that lock down a job, but they're not wealthy. They're not that good looking. They probably live in their parents' basement. They play a lot of video games. They're out of shape. Women routinely will go past, they'll just overlook them. They're invisible. And they'll go and because of pre-selection, the guy's already married. He's already got kids. They're more than happy to bang a married guy. It's just the way that it is. Like, that isn't female nature. You have to understand these concepts.
It's a bit strange to me, this guy's ask. I mean, I look at this one of two ways. My first inclination is that this guy has no intention of actually having a kid with this chick. He just wants to hear her say it, or he just like gets off on it or something like that. He's like, oh, like he's got some sort of like, I want to get you pregnant kind of deal. But now I'm thinking about it. It's like the only other option I can think of is that maybe he wants to do it because he doesn't have the stones to leave his wife. Maybe he's just looking for the way out and he wants to get caught. He wants to pull like the Dave Grohl thing. I mean, like Dave Grohl got caught and he's groveling and he's asking for his kids and his wife's forgiveness or whatever. He had a wife, or he had a kid out of wedlock recently, but like maybe that's it. Maybe it's like, look, if I have a kid with you, at least my wife will find out and then she'll be the one to untie the knot and then I can be with you. I don't know. But I don't understand I can't think of another scenario why a guy would, because again, the guys that step out, they have rules. They're like, I'm not going to embarrass my wife. I'm not going to have kids, with some random bimbo, especially a girl that I work with, but maybe he's looking for a way out.
Yeah. Let's grab the super chat over here. Andy says, my ex liked to spend money on bath things that she didn't need or use, with thousands of dollars worth of stuff in the closets. I had to put a budget on that. She later claimed it was financial abuse. Yeah. Like it's very common. If married women don't like a boundary that you set, the toxic feminist narrative is to call it abuse, to call it whatever abuse.
Children,
emotional abuse.
Give me what I want.
You say to her,
that's abuse.
If you say to a woman, shut up. Oh, that's emotional abuse. If you set a budget and you say, you can spend $200 a month on toiletries. Oh, that's financial abuse. And everybody wants to be a victim today. And again, guys, this is why I'm going to take you back to the red flags, and I should put the banner up. I should run this ticker all the time because you guys should be on the damn email list. But if you haven't read my book, fine. It's worth its weight in gold, but get on the email list and you can get the 21 red flag chapter for free. But if a woman has financial issues or the inability to follow your lead, and it's two of the red flags on my list. I mean, there's 21 in total. But if she's unwilling to follow your lead and respect you and your boundaries, you're going to run into problems if you invite her into your life and have kids or get married or any of those things. It's just a reality of the world that you live in. And there's dire consequences when you get married, because now you've involved the government in your life. You've involved the government in what happens to your access to your kids, your money, your wealth, your home when it sells. And everything's in her favor. There's a chapter in my book titled "Why Smart Men Don't Marry Anymore." Right? Read it. All right, I've got another one over here, and it's funny because you see these sorts of things, and it's usually captioned, "Married men make more money than single men at any age. So go get married. Go and man up and do the right thing and get married." You have your standard charts over here: single men, single women. They're on the bottom. In the solid line, then you have married men and married women make about the same, looks like slightly more in some age brackets than their single counterparts. But married men make significantly more money because they're married, right? So go get married. Well, the plugged in will tell you that the married men make more money because they get married. So go get married. But the unplugged guys, and again, guys, this podcast, it's called the Unplugged Alpha. The point here is to get you guys awakened from these comforting lies. The unplugged will tell you that women do not commit to men that cannot out-earn them. Do you see the difference? Are you understanding this? Do you see the code in the matrix?
Yeah, correlation doesn't equal causation there. It's not that if you are married, you'll make more money. It's that guys who make more money tend to be married. I know that sounds like backwards thinking, but it's a huge difference. And so it's like, yeah, go get married because you'll live longer and you'll make more money. It's like, no, the guys that are making more money tend to be married because they're going to get the woman to commit to them long term. Whether they're smart enough to, whether they choose to get married and walk into that slaughterhouse is a completely different story. But yeah, I mean, it's highly unlikely to be a well-off, guy that makes a ton of money who's not married. It just doesn't happen as much these days. But again, it's not because you're married that you make more money. It's the other way around.
Yeah. This one was funny. I had a good chuckle. So nerds are now using AI to argue with their girlfriends. Coach Bruce says, when I have a disagreement with a girl now, I export my entire chat history into AI and ask it to analyze the conversation, then paste the results to her. There's absolutely nothing she can do. It's a brutal mog. And then tell her to contact me after she's spoken to AI. Like, I don't know.
What a dork. Would I
Yeah.
have a disagreement with a girl? Here's what I do. Oh, what's that? Click.
Yeah.
Why?
I'm not
What
arguing
are you
with you.
doing? What is
I'm
this?
not
Waste your
arguing
time.
with
arguing
women
with
is
women.
exhausting, and like this new level of nerd where you use AI to prove your point is utterly pointless. I'll be the first to admit I've been sucked into long, drawn out arguments with women. I've had a whiteboard, drawn lines and pointed out shit and connected dots for them and spelled it out. I've done it all. I've done it all. And women will not let reason and logic get in the way of an emotional hissy fit. You have to remember they are emotional creatures. Like this is how they're hardwired. It's not a bug. It's just a feature of who they are. Just understand it. Involving AI in an argument, like I just had the biggest laugh with that. I just thought it was so funny.
Well, there's a guy that commented on our video 2 weeks ago, and I responded to him, and he's like, well, like my girlfriend, I want to vote for Donald Trump. My girlfriend wants to vote for Kamala Harris, and she keeps bringing up stuff like Orange Man bad. And no matter how I tell her that these are his policies and this is why she should vote for him, and she just doesn't listen to me. And it's like, dude, yeah, like why you're wasting your time, right? You know, you need to laugh at her and call her a dummy and just say like, yeah, you're an idiot. Like you just need to not let this stuff affect you. It's just, you know, it's impossible if you still are plugged in and you believe that women have all these amazing opinions and everything you heard about them still rings true. Then if you take them too seriously, it's only going to be your downfall, man.
Yeah, let's take a quick ad break, guys. If you want to call in and ask a question, if that guy wanted to argue, for a Harris presidency, or anybody has a question that they want to ask us, we'll get to that in a second. I'll deal a little bit more with arguing with women. Let me just run the ad reel. We'll be back in a minute. This episode is sponsored by richcooper.ca. Brothers, if you're like me and take what you put in your body seriously, you're going to want to use the Unplugged Alpha supplement line. An obsession with absorption is what sets this line apart from the others. You want to make sure that you absorb as much of the supplements as possible so you don't end up peeing out expensive urine. My supplement line is made in the United States from the highest quality domestic ingredients, and unlike cheap supplements from China in plastic bottles, mine ship in dark glass bottles to keep your supplements fresher, longer, and won't seep endocrine disrupting plastics into your supplements. Nothing is a hard tablet. Everything is in an easily digested, bioavailable capsule. You can filter all products by their various categories, including testosterone support, estrogen metabolism, fat burning, immune health, sleep support, and performance. Visit theunpluggedalpha.com/shop and use the subscribe and save option over here to get 10% off your supplement order, or use coupon code ALPHA10 for 10% off a one-time order to try it out. Men, if you want to know everything that I know today that I wish my dad taught me in my 20s, join the School of Unplugging. There are over 30 hours of lessons currently, a well-organized discussion board, and weekly Zoom calls held by experts with backgrounds in strength, nutrition, finance, investing, and entrepreneurship, all for one low monthly membership. Visit richcooper.ca and on the courses tab, hit the School of Unplugging and get started here. Guys, make sure you visit my website for my communities, requesting a private one-on-one consultation, or learning about my future events. And don't forget to opt into my email list over here to get my newsletter. Let's get on with the show. Yeah, guys, make sure you do get on the email list so you can get notified of the events that come up in the future. We've got publicly offered events like our forum, which will be next October, again in Toronto. We're just locking at the details of that. And Moff, of course, has done a stellar job of organizing the 1%, the 10% community meetups. We've got a pretty full calendar for the year and some awesome stuff lined up for guys that want to come out and rub shoulders and break bread and link up with other like-minded guys that are doing something with their life and holding each other accountable. So back to the point of arguing. How do you argue with women? Do you argue with women?
No, you just don't. You try not to. I mean, it really, it's an easy trap to fall into, because at one point it's like explaining and you're trying to see, well, like, oh, if you just see it from this point of view, there's nothing in it. They want you to argue. Like when women try to drag you into the argument, it's because they're bored. That's most likely what it is. Arguing usually is not something that I'll do. I do think though, and I probably am not going to have a lot of people agree with this, but I am not of the school where 100% stoicism all the time is the most useful strategy. I do think there are times where, like, the chick that you're with or dating, she still needs to see that the bear has teeth. And she needs to kind of know the dude that you kind of are. I'm not saying get violent with her by all means, but I'm saying it's like a lot of guys would think like, oh, like always be stoic. And it's just like if you're in danger of becoming a doormat, and you're in danger of, if nothing bothers you, if you're not willing to stand on something or everything, or if you're not willing to stand for some things, you're willing to fall for anything. So I think there's an art to it where you're not arguing, but it's simply stating your position, your boundaries, and it is the way that it is. If you don't like it, then kick a boulder. It's really simple. But guys tend to think if you just show her the PowerPoint presentation, you show her where she's wrong, and you point it out, she'll just go, oh, okay, like now everything makes sense. And really, if you're a man on mission purpose and you're doing what you want to do, like whether she agrees with you or not, or whether she says, she agrees with your position or stance, is kind of irrelevant, because you're going to do what you want to do regardless. And if she comes along, great. And if not, then you know where you stand.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be respected in a relationship, guys, you have to have boundaries, and you have to realize that for the most part, I mean, arguing mostly is a big waste of time. I mean, like, I've seen guys argue a lot on the internet about ideas and on social media and stuff like that. And
dumb.
The thing is that most people don't want to hear your opinion. They want to hear their opinion coming out of your mouth when it comes to internet disagreements. Understand that. A lot of the times arguing with people is like arguing with an idiot. I think it's been said, something along the lines of arguing with somebody that just doesn't get it is like trying to play chess with a pigeon. The pigeon will just knock over all the pieces and strut around like it won the game anyway, right? And that's generally how it goes. And it's not that much different when it comes to a relationship. I mean, if she's chosen you, if she's asked for your commitment, if she wants to be in a relationship with you, and she's then in the next breath choosing to disagree with you or argue with you on things, especially if they're in your wheelhouse, right? Like if it's something that you just know, like the back of your hand, you've lived it, you breathe it for a long period of time, you're world class at it, you're good at it, then it should just be, defer to the expert. I think I saw something here in the chat. Here it is. Deborah, a gal, she said, my husband and I had a disagreement today about car repairs. He told me what he was going to do, and that was the end of the discussion. I'm doing some more writing these days because, I want to get back into, I don't know if I'll publish them as essays or if I'll put them in a book. But to the point of marriage here, I'll put this up on the screen because I might slate this for a future episode on the Unplugged Alpha. Where is it? Here we go. So when it comes to marriage, so here's something that popped up a lot. I found this interesting because I wasn't expecting these results. So the question was married men only. A lot of guys today still seek marriage as a goal. What makes your marriage a relationship sweet spot for you? And I ask these questions for a reason. So please engage, guys, if you ever see this, stuff like this. And throughout all the responses, everybody that was basically like, yeah, my marriage is good. I'm very happy with where I am. Routinely, and I can just go, right back up to the top here to the most, the top comment. Wife and I share the same beliefs, religion. She agreed to the biblically submissive role of wifehood. When we do get married, our relationship is largely trouble-free because of her because of her feminine mood swings and hormones. She remembers the agreement and generally believes that she is called by God to serve and aid me in any way possible. In return, I do everything I possibly can for her and try to lead the family as unselfishly as possible. She was a virgin when we married and is completely faithful. That's a key point, guys. I've said this before. Promiscuity is bad news bears. The more dudes she's been with, and the stats just go right off the fucking cliff. If she's a virgin when you marry her, 86% chance of happiness and you guys staying together. If she's been with 6 guys or more, that drops to like 34%. It's ridiculous. And the numbers just get worse, right? From there. So she was a virgin when we married, completely faithful. And now we have 5 children, happily and healthy. She minds her diet and her weight and strives to do what she believes is right. Doesn't try to usurp authority or take over. That's a conventional type of relationship. And I might make a future TUA episode of this or video, but kind of doing it for research purposes, Moff. I sort of wanted to ask guys like, hey, if this is really a sweet spot for you, then tell me why it's a sweet spot. And overwhelmingly, just about every guy that replied to that, and you go see that thread on the Entrepreneurs and Cars channel. I think it's, is it on the, it's on the EIC community tab, and read all the comments. And they're all very, very similar. She follows my lead. I have the authority. She defers to me. I take care of things. I do the best that I can. She wasn't promiscuous. She didn't have any of your red flags on your list, Rich. She had a very low notch count or no notch count when I met her, sort of thing. It just works. But you're not getting that today. The vast majority of guys today, when they meet a gal that's like, hey, I want to get married and have kids, it's like, she's already been through like 50 dicks. Like what do you think's going to happen when things get difficult, when there's a disagreement? You're just, she's just going to move on to 51. That's just the way that it goes. Right.
Yeah. I mean, she's ingrained that in her mind to go and run when stuff gets tough, or like, even when it doesn't, she's like, oh, it's just recreation at that point. So it doesn't even matter. Yeah. Doesn't even matter. Like, I mean, I had a huge problem with that with the ex that, I got unplugged by. It's like, as soon as things got hard, she just wanted to cut bait and run. That's what she always did in any friendship, any relationship. So it's like, I was like, look, like, life's going to get a lot tougher than this. I mean, we can't agree on this stupid thing, XYZ. How the hell are we ever going to have a marriage and a house and kids? And thank God we don't. But that was a very common occurrence.
I got nothing else on my bookmarks. Is there anything else you want to table before we wrap up, dude?
No, we covered a whole bunch of stuff. This is good. No, it was good to get back in it after things have settled a bit. No, we had covered a lot of ground tonight.
Yeah, if you guys see anything on the interwebs that you want me to look at,
send it our way.
Yeah, send it our way. I mean, you can send it any number of ways. There's email on the about page of the YouTube channel. You can find me on social media. I don't check DMs on Facebook. It's just flooded with bullshit. So I just don't have time for it. And Instagram, I rarely check the DMs. So I think Twitter, you can DM me there or just email me, something if you want me to take a look at it and table it, and Moff and I will chop it up. But that's it. You got a show on the calendar for tomorrow with CK?
Yeah, 12 noon tomorrow. Yeah, 12 noon tomorrow, and if you can make it, it'd be great. 12 noon tomorrow, I'm doing my interview series. I started doing those kind of like playing to win, just so I could do those sporadically whenever I wanted to. I still got some guys that I want to line up for that series, but CK is a good friend of mine. He runs a company up in Ontario called Driftwood Paddle. He's our guide for last year's Algonquin trip. You guys have seen that intro video and some of that footage, I'm sure, 100 times now, and we're planning another trip up there in May, so we're going to talk a little bit about that, talk a little bit about his background. And it'll be a good opportunity to kind of get a look under the hood about what we do in the community, the kind of trips that we go on, what our focus is, and the reason we get these guys together. And it's going to be a hell of a trip, this year. So if that's something that, you've been looking for, and this is stuff that you're excited about getting involved with, now's the best time ever to really get involved with our community based on the stuff we have planned, the stuff you have to look forward to. Everything is really cranking, and of course prices go up at the end of every year. So if you've been weighing on it and sitting on the fence for however long, like, now's the time to pull the trigger.
You were not a fan of the idea of Algonquin when I offered it.
I hated it. No, I didn't want to go. I mean, even when we were there, the first 24 hours, I was like, this sucks. Like, I hate camping.
Where's your head at now?
It's going to be, it was great. Yeah. I mean, I want to go back. It's one of those things where if you don't, just like anything, if you don't continuously do it, you revert back to bad and old habits and things like that. But this one's going to be a significant undertaking compared to last year. We're going to have twice as many guys. We're going to do probably 3 times as much paddling. And portaging. So it's going to be, this is going to be taking it up a notch. So that's what we do in this group, man. We're about challenging ourselves and pushing ourselves to the next level.
Crazy. I'll try to hop on that with you guys tomorrow. So thanks for joining us, guys. I know you can be anywhere else in the world today. If there's something that you found some value in this cast or stream, or you think somebody needs to see it, I think the greatest compliment that you could offer me is just sharing this, subscribing, encouraging others to do the same. Grab the book, get on the email list. If you want to get involved in the community, if you want to learn everything it is that we've talked about and that I've figured out, for the better part of more than half my life now, go to the School of Unplugging, man. There's some wicked stuff in there. I'm doing weekly Zoom calls every Wednesday morning. Moff's doing his Zooms. There's a lot of experts in there that do stuff around, optimizing Instagram for dating, for social proof, LinkedIn. you know, how to resume write, how to invest, what crypto is, how to invest in it, markets, insurance. We've got experts, you know, from all walks of life, recorded content, new content that we keep adding, a discussion board. It's a really good place, you know, to grow and build. And I'll leave that in the description, or you can just, you know, just click any of my bios on social media and you'll find the link to the school. So get in. We hope to see you guys on the inside, and we'll call it a night. Have a good one, brother. All right, guys, if you enjoyed that podcast, make sure you visit my website at richcooper.ca to learn more about my courses, my book, The Unplugged Alpha, community, or booking me for private coaching. Also, if you are a Canadian with $15,000 or more of credit card debt and what you are doing right now isn't paying off the balances, then visit totaldebtfreedom.ca and hit get a free quote to see if you qualify to settle your credit card debt for less than you owe today over the next 48 months. Make sure you check out the top pinned comment on YouTube for all the links mentioned during the show. Peace.